See you in the new year, he said. 2 days later, here we are.
Hello.
Yeah, unclean.
Yes. I'd just like to say, for anybody that is concerned about this, I'm not sure that you can catch COVID over the interwebs. So
that's what they want you to believe.
Yeah. But given that we're all now linked via the vaccine to the 5G network, that is entirely possible. So
I don't have 5G here, so.
Oh, don't you? Oh no, of course you live down in darkest.
Yeah, the bit on the bit on the map that says "Here be beasties." Yeah,
stay to the path, don't go across the moors. But at the risk of sort of jumping all over this, we thought we'd get together today. A, because we're bored and we haven't really got anything better to do with our time. B, because it's far too early to start drinking at 7 o'clock. But we thought we could leave it till 8. And C, because our favourite model company, the mighty MiniArt, has released their catalogue for 2022, and it is a box of delights.
It literally is. It literally has been written by John Masefield.
The music for which is definitely creeping me out and needs to be changed, by the way.
No.
We're talking, that is gong, that is Camembert Electric levels of freak, that is.
I have to say, I rather like it.
No, I do not like that music at all.
it's really creeping you out.
Really sinister.
At the end, I will show you the actual opening titles from the box of the lights, which is genuinely this is a kids show from 1984, and it's just like nightmare-inducing stuff. It really is. Anyway,
I want to see it.
Well, you can leave the studio early, and we'll,
Talking of kids programs that freak you out, Elizabeth of this parish, she's a very big. She's the boss. She's a very big fan of Pogle's Wood. Have you ever watched Pogle's Wood?
Yeah, but we call it Poggle's Wood.
You call it Poggle's Wood? Okay. Have you ever watched Poggle's Wood?
Oh, good grief! Yes,
it's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I know the name. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, you should. Well, when it's sunny and it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, okay, Google it. Don't Google it when it's cold, windy, and dark. That's all I'm going to say. It is truly.
I do remember it.
Fairy tale levels.
It's yes, I've got it here. Oh goodness me! It really, yes,
truly, it's not quite as weird as In the Night Garden, which is just, I mean, that's LSD levels of bonkers, but it is creepy and dark and sinister, and she keeps making me watch it, and I keep having nightmares.
Yes,
I mean,
genuinely
they've got dead eyes.
Yes, it hasn't got the charm of Camberwick Green or Trumpton. It certainly doesn't have the lovability of the Clangers. It's really. I remember this well, and I blotted it from my memory, and now I'm having Nam style flashbacks here. It's
the scene in Jaws where he starts to describe what happens when a shark attacks you.
Yes,
and a shark's eyes are dead; they're lifeless. The characters in Pogle's Wood, very similar, although I don't suppose that they swim in the deep and attack fishermen in small boats. But truly bizarre. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I've shared something with you people that maybe I should have kept to myself.
Well, I'm not going to sleep tonight now, am I?
No, not if you Google that. You're not. No.
In order to get,
I didn't need to Google it. It was shared.
In order to get to sleep tonight, Drew will watch something cheery like The Terror or The Thing.
Yes.
Just to lighten the mood a bit.
The Evil Dead trilogy sounds good about now.
I haven't watched Hot Fuzz this holiday. That needs to be remedied at some point over the next couple of days.
Well, when I had lunch, when I had luncheon up at Mother's this afternoon, I did manage to get my Christmas viewing of Jason and the Argonauts in, so sorted.
Oh, nice. Oh, that school's good. Well, the thing was, we went round to our friends the other day, and Hot Fuzz was on their TV. Do you know what they did? Rather than just leave it on, despite the fact that I showed a great deal of excitement over seeing it, they turned it off and made us talk. Who does that?
Yeah, I would remove them from your Christmas list next year.
I love them both dearly, but that seemed to me to be a very
deal breaker, mate. Deal breaker.
Yes. Anybody that turns off Hot Fuzz.
Bit harsh.
It is a bit harsh. Should do the Cornetto trilogy in its entirety, one after the other, one day.
Yeah, we will do. Talking of which, that's how I managed to split my finger open 2 weeks ago. After I'd seen Drew in Glastonbury, I went to Wells, driving through Wells, and I suddenly thought, oh, Evensong service is on at the cathedral. I've always wanted to attend that. So walking through the market square, and I tripped on an errant bit of stone, I think is the best way of putting it, went flying and split my finger open. So, but as I was flying through the air, I was suddenly reliving kind of like Simon Pegg, kind of like both guns going, kind of like pow, 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 like that. So only with less grace.
When we stopped in
Wells,
same
levels of language.
When we stopped in Wells, Liz was completely freaked out by the cathedral. She said it was the most frightening building she'd ever seen.
Which is weird because so many people go to Wells. Well, we'll do the modelling stuff in a minute, people. Yeah. So many people go to Wells outside Weston. But so many people go to Wells and they see St Cuthbert's Church and think that's the cathedral. Right, St Cuthbert's Church, which is the bit in Hot Fuzz where the guy gets his head squashed by the thing. That's it. St Cuthbert's Church in any other city would qualify as a cathedral. Yes, in Wells, it's their other church.
Yes, it's just another building.
Church around the corner.
Yeah,
our other church is also a cathedral.
Yes, we the three of us do like Wells, don't we? We managed to get into a degree of trouble in Wells every single time we go there, and we must do that again maybe next year if we can. We're
not going to do it this year, mate. I can tell you that.
Is pedantry just going to be something?
I'm still thinking it's still 2021, isn't it? Are we just going to have like
an hour of pedantry from
as soon as Christmas Day's out of the way, this year means any time in the next year.
Yes, of course it does. Surely John knows that. Why is he?
You've got 4 days. You've got 4 days. No. You've got 4 days of this year left, so it's going to have to be next year.
Anyway, up. Let's get back to the to what we're kind of here for, which is to talk nonsense, obviously, which we'll return to later. John, do you want to ask the good folk of the internet world about your phantom that you're currently hunting?
Oh yeah, okay.
Would you like to do that?
I hadn't planned to. Well, I had planned to, but I hadn't actually planned it in as much as I wasn't quite ready.
Get on with it!
Come on.
I can tell you what. Whilst I'm doing this, I'll just play the opening titles again, just to annoy you. Right, what it is
Pogglewood.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that would be fun. That would be. What it was in doing the. I had to over the weekend do my MII column, and I did an obituary to Mike McAvoy, and I was going back through one of his reviews, and that was the Fujimi Phantom, the British, the Spey Phantoms, when they came out early 1987. And one of the things that he did as a companion to that review was that he built their F4J kit, and he said it, he said it served as a useful lead-in to the Spey Phantoms. Now, I used to go into beaters in Bristol in the 80s, and you couldn't walk into that shop without tripping up over these. And obviously, with the passing of Mike, I read through the review, saw this review again, and I suddenly thought, you know what? Actually, just as a kind of like a nod to Mike, I'd like to get hold of this kit and build one. Now, there are some out there, but they are kind of upwards of about 35 quid, and I want to build one, but I don't want to build one. I don't want to build one £35 worth. I want to build one. Let's put it that way. So, long story short, folks, if you can come, if you know anybody who's got one of these that they want to dispose of at a reasonable price, or have found one, or there's one you just want to get rid of, or you want to trade or whatnot, then just let us know and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, I fancied doing something doing this as a kind of like just as a nod to Mike McAvoy, because this was one of the reviews, that his review of the British Phantoms, rather, the Spey ones, they had a profound effect on me, because I read them, and then as soon as I got my first pay packet from my first job, I hot-footed it into Beaters in Bristol and handed over the immeasurable sum of £7.99 for a Phantom FG1. So there we go, folks. Fujimi, it has to be this boxing, though. It has to be this exact boxing. So if you can find one for me for a reasonable price, or you've got one, you want to do a trade, then you know where to find us.
And while we're on the subject of hunting things down, I was sent by Mike Reeves, our good friend over in the States. He sent me a Tamiya YF16, I think beginning of last year sometime. And I really want to build this thing for a possible project next year. But I don't really want to build it just as a stock YF16. I want to build it as a CCV, if possible, which is based entirely on that aircraft and that kit. Now, Caracal Decals produced a sheet of markings for the prototype F-16s, and I can't get a sheet anywhere. If there's anybody out there that knows anyone that might have that 48 scale sheet who would be willing to part with the CCV decals from it, I think they're only essentially the lettering that goes on the tail, where the YF16 lettering, it's not much, and some odd superficial bits. If anybody would be willing to part with those decals, could they get in touch, and we may be able to sort of come to some agreement. But it really is, I just think it'd be an interesting conversion of that kit, and it'd be something slightly different that I can build from it.
So decals these days, isn't it? Once upon a time, decals just used to be production items like kits.
Yeah.
Now it's one run, and if you don't get them,
you're sort of lost, really.
And you can't even order Caracal direct from the States now.
No,
he stopped doing that because of Brexit, because he can't, because he wouldn't register all the registration stuff.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. You can see that's the sheet I'm looking for. But it's only the CCV decals that I'm looking for, which is the aircraft at the bottom of that. But you're right, Drew. Especially with something like Caracal's production run seems to be very short as well. Seems to be very small from what I can see. But
it's a few hundred of it. A few hundred of any given sheet. The occasional one gets reprinted.
Yeah, and so it's almost like as soon as they come out and you see something interesting, you just have to kind of jump all over it, don't you? And with those, but if there's anybody out there that's got those decals and they'd be willing to part with them, please get in touch. That'd be brilliant.
I'm just having a look. Bear with me. I'm just going to boot this screen now, because we're now going to go to the sensitive bit. I'm just going to see how much they're gonna do these for shipping to the United Kingdom, because
I think that sheet's out of stock as well.
Okay, it's showing it as in stock here. Can you two carry on talking? I'm just gonna
who with? Sorry, John. Who with?
Say again.
Who from?
Not from Caracal.
No, not from Caracal. This is from just a trader in the States. But you two carry on talking. I'm just gonna do some detective work here. So talk about yourself.
And the thing with a lot of these, with the decal sheets that we see and those smaller items, Caracal are one of those. They've almost become like a favorite now, because they do pick on subjects that
they do. They just do really. They pick sort of, even if they pick the mainstream subjects, they pick slightly offbeat ones.
Yeah, they do.
It's like where everybody's consistently releasing, A10C decals with all the new schemes that are coming out these days for the A10. Caracal are looking back to the 70s and doing Jaws and the original masks. They pick the prototype. Does anybody want prototype A10 sheets? yes, please.
Yes,
And they so they've kind of got this little niche where everybody else is focusing on the latest scheme in service, and he's sort of looking back, you know, to air superiority Blue Eagles and
yeah,
you know,
indeed,
things like
or
that,
prototype Eagles,
you know,
prototype
prototype Hornets and
yeah. Oh, please, just the best. And
Redwood Bridge, Spence.
Pardon?
Look in the comments.
Oh, Greg. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, fabulous. Let's talk offline and see what we can come up with. Oh, that'd be brilliant, because like I say, I am very keen to build the kit. So if you have and you're willing to part with them, that's fantastic. Well done, mate. That's brilliant. Thank you.
And Rob Monfils has got that sheet in 70 seconds ago, which ironically, I'm also on the hunt for that sheet, because I've got the Revell 1970s kit, you know, the very nice Revell 70s kit, the one that comes with the Farnborough display of stores and engines and a little tractor and things like that. But the decals in it, they're rubbish. But
they are, yeah. Although I do love that kit, I have to say.
Yeah, I think we all had that kit multiple times as kids, didn't we? We all. It was.
I didn't get it until about five years ago.
Yeah. That and the Eagle were both. You know, I used to go into Woolworths and used to be there, and I kind of I sort of aspired to them. And I think I got the Eagle before I ever got the F16. But I can remember the F16 because it was Revell. All the instructions were multilingual, and the inside of the air brakes was rot. And I always wondered what color rot was. It's some kind of browny green color or something. And it was, you know, at 11 years old, you don't think of these things. It was years till I went, it's German for red, you idiot.
Yes.
Here we go. Question from most models. He says, Mr.
The
Pollard,
lamps on my desk, to answer your question, these ones here, they are they're made by a company called Neat-Fi, which is NEATFI. And I bought these lamps. They're daylight lamps. The two that I've got here, they match. They're the same on painting desk as they are on the construction desk. I got both of these from your favorite Amazon retailer. I think they're somewhere in the region of £110 each, something along those lines. But they're that's it. Those are the ones. But they're really, really good. I like them. The great thing about these lamps is that they have different settings on them. They've got 3 different settings, so you can, you know, alter it depending on what you need. But that's where they're from. They're called.
Effectively, there are any number of these lamps available, and I use my one that I got the same as yours about 4 years ago, Spence, and it broke last year. And I ended up getting a little LED one, this little LED one, which is like just you can see how thin it is.
Yeah,
and it's just brilliant. A strip of LED lights with, again, multiple settings.
That's bright too.
Yeah,
well, mine
like that
my
is
one
just
I got
bright.
Yeah, God grief.
Yeah.
Mine I got at Telford 3 years ago when we were doing the ad hoc demonstration on the hobby company stand, and that was the year I got my LED lamp from Craft Lights, who are always there at the show, and it cost me just short of about 90 quid, but it was the best modeling investment I ever made, equal to that same show. I bought my Despy cutters, and when I came back and I set it all up here in the workshop and I turned it on, and it was like, good grief, I've been modeling with a candle for the last 10 years.
I mean, the one bit of advice I'd give to people is, honestly, if you're looking to get one of these desktop lamps, you're looking at 75 quid and north for a really good one.
But it's
you're
going to use it.
It's not something to cheap out on. I think that one I got there was about 90 quid. It's one of those few. Do not cheap out on that lamp, but you know, spend 75, 80 quid and north and get a really, really nice one.
Question from Christian here. He says, is Spencer's Tornado book still available? I got an Italy ECR Tornado in 130 seconds ago as a Christmas gift from my mother, and this book surely would give me some hints for the construction of the kit.
Yes, there are some left. To answer that question, yes, there are. Talking of your Despy cutters, I've actually got a pair that I bought that are seemingly very similar to those, and they're these ones.
Yeah, they're side cutters.
But these ones, I mean, they look to be identical in terms of design.
Yeah.
But these ones are made by a company called Voltcan.
Right.
But in terms of design, are they the same?
I suspect these are all made and just rebadged.
Do you think they are?
Yeah, I mean, there's my.
These ones came. These ones came with their own kind of cover and a pouch.
Yeah. The disc bike come with that cover.
Yeah, so I wonder whether.
And I think they're all. I think they're probably all just made en masse and rebadged.
Are you spelling that, Spencer?
I just got it off Amazon. I got it off.
Yeah, how are you spelling Volkscan?
VALT.
Oh, VALT.
All one word. But they're spring loaded. They've got the, they've got them.
And how much were they?
Down here on Amazon Prime at $29.99.
Yes, that's about the same price, isn't it?
Some people might think
it's in the ballpark. I think I bought these last week, and these were about 35. So
so I wondered whether they were similar or that they were the same.
I suspect they're the same.
They do look similar, don't they?
They look identical.
Yeah, no, I think they're the same. They're the same cutters.
Yeah,
fairly certain.
Good. So I've entered the realm of the disc buy without actually buying a disc.
Yeah.
So
I think the only ones that aren't the same are probably the God Hands.
Yeah, they're much more expensive though, aren't they?
They're much, they're sort of 60, 70 quid, aren't they?
Yeah. So that's a thing. Going back slightly to the prototypes, do you remember we had a conversation not so long ago about prototype A10s?
Yes.
And we were chatting about that, weren't we? We were talking about colour schemes and all that sort of stuff. I dug out Dana Bell's book that was written for the Arms and Armour Press about 86, I think. It was one of those, the thin little books.
I know, I've got it in the next room.
Yes, which
it's a great book. It's a great book.
And has because if you remember, I one of the aircraft that I want to build is the one that crashed, number 4, I think.
The one with a sequence of ejection photos.
Yes, crashed, and because in that there's quite a lot of photographs of that particular airframe as it kind of progresses through its quite short life, I think, and it starts off in black. That aircraft was sprayed black to begin with. I think a number of the prototypes were sprayed black.
Yeah.
And then they were sprayed white over the top, and then the white wore away, and it looked kind of patchy.
Well, that one, number 4, I think, was not. It was actually sprayed black, and it was sprayed white in banding going from the nose to the tail. So it wasn't actually. It wasn't so much worn as it was intended to.
Yes, it's a very unusual scheme, isn't it? Because the nose is sprayed in almost like a solid block of white, and then as it goes down the fuselage, it goes in sort of different sort of densities of it. And then it did Arctic trials, didn't it? And they put red wing tips on it and then red rudders on that. But I was interested in that book in talking about prototypes of building the first one, the prototype. From the Tamir kit, and we talked about how easy or difficult.
I thought you'd actually started it.
I sort of went off at it like a bull at a gate, and sort of glued bits together because we were talking about the way it differs from the production ones. Because basically A10s from the start of their life pretty much to now are identical, aren't they? It's just
by the time you got to full scale development aircraft number 4, 3 or 4, they all in outline were broadly the same. Yeah.
But I certainly think that's an interesting subject for anybody that's looking for a relatively straightforward conversion, because there's not a lot of difference.
You have to. I mean, I still think probably the most challenging thing about that conversion is removing the overwing fairings.
Yes, and you mean between the fuselage and the wing?
At the rear of the wing, there's that big fairing at the rear of the wing on the A10, and that just wasn't present on the first prototype. It was like literally the wing was a plank stuck onto it, and it didn't have the strakes at the wing leading edge either, the vertical strakes, and all that sort of thing. Once I think they're the. And you also have to check out. I mean, obviously the tail's different, and I think the engine pylons might be different. There's a lot of little things that kind of add up to not a massively, not certainly not the most involved conversion. you're ever gonna see, and especially with doing the 20mm gun instead of the 30mm. But I think it's one of those ones that could keep you occupied for quite a while, making sure you'd got all the little details right on it.
I rather stupidly thought the same thing about. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to convert an F-15E or an F-15, an F-15E. I'm going to convert an F-15 into the Strike Eagle prototype 71291. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. How did that go?
That was pretty much my reaction when I started looking into it.
It's that spine, isn't it? It's the spine in the air brake is like the real, because it's got a, the early twin seaters and the early single seaters had a very distinct spine on them.
Yeah, they did.
Fading out into the air brake that just wasn't there on the production aircraft.
I thought, well, that'd be easy. All I need to do is get an F-15B and then put the CFTs on it and then drop some, a single pylon, put some multiple ejector racks on that, paint it with the lizard scheme, jobs are good, and bingo. Absolutely straightforward. No, it really isn't, is it? And you start looking at that superficially, they look very similar, don't they? But there's quite a lot of changes in that.
And then you start realizing that she never had a big, she always had a small air brake. And so that means all that area needs modifying, and you had that spine that really odd change in contour on the spine as well as it blends into the air brake. It was a very, very different. The early ones, basically it was a TF-15, wasn't it? Rather,
try finding really good photographs as well, showing that upper.
I've got one really good photograph that shows the spine off from the rear and down into towards the canopy.
Right.
Whichever I can find, I'll send it to you.
And of course, Mr. Mock sitting there talking about YF10 prototypes. His mind's already turned back to Matchbox's kit and in that lovely pale grey colour scheme. Awful kit, really nice colour scheme there. And
I have to say, it was probably one of Matchbox's worst kits ever.
Yeah, but I bet we've all built one.
Yeah, I got it twice.
Exactly.
Actually, no, I wasn't. I'm still having a hunt around here for Caracal decals for YF16. So I'm determined to try and find some.
I think in Matchbox's defence, it was only ever sold initially as a YA10, and it did have the initial 20mm cannon set.
Oh, the Matchbox. Yeah, the Matchbox A10 is a prototype, and actually, I've actually got that kit. Rob Monfee bought it for me actually, and if you do want to model one of the prototype A10s,
don't start there.
Better off starting with that kit.
Nah.
I'm going to start with it. I'm going to because it's cheap as chips. Actually, I think that's what it is, and also because it's simpler. Mike Reeves, who's now on. Hello, Mike. How are you? Good to see you. Sent us some bits for the Hobby Boss A10C, so I will do an A10C, and I'm definitely going to do it in that black color scheme as well.
The Black Snake one.
Black Snakes one, because that's just a cool scheme. So I'm definitely going to do that. Do it in that color scheme, I think.
So Jim also got there saying, "Have any of you built the 72nd scale monogram A10?"
No.
I think I've built every 72nd scale A10 that's ever been released multiple times, Jim. With the exception, I've got the Hobby Boss ones, but they're simple builds. They're quick builds. But every mainstream one that's ever been released, I've built multiple times. Yeah.
I have to say as well, I started building, I did post some photographs of this thing the other day, but I have now started building this.
Excellent.
So I now have a large chunk of Eagle, but I haven't really.
Is that all one moulding there, or are the wings separate? Is that how it
No, the wings are separate, but I've glued them on.
Right, okay.
So I could kind of line them up.
Yeah, you never know with an Eagle kit these days, do you? If somebody shows you that, it's like, have you glued the wings on, or were they actually? Because a lot.
I think that's pretty much where they should be. So there's a little tiny step in there, so I'll sort of sand that down and everything. But I'm going to use this as a bit of a play thing more than anything else. Again, it's another project that I'm working on. But I got given, I can't even remember by who or where I got them from, some old microscale decal sheets. And in there was some TF-15As and F-15As, and one of the TF-15 is one in that beautiful blue color scheme.
The air superiority blue ones are my favorite eagles. They still are. I think they're absolutely glorious color scheme.
Yeah, these are the two sheets that I got, and you've probably seen these.
I've had that in 72nd. I've actually built one in 72nd.
The one I'm going to do is the one with the stripes on the tank.
Right.
And there are some really nice photographs of that aircraft online, which I managed to find. It's the city of Alamogordo.
Yeah.
Alamogordo. And there's quite a lot of photographs of that particular aircraft. But the other one that I had as well was this one.
That's the one. Yeah, I've got that sheet. I've got multiples of that sheet in 72nd.
And I would imagine Sir Mike of Reeves would probably be pretty keen on that, wouldn't he? Wasn't he?
I think he was a bit burger.
Yeah, he was kind of there. But so I just thought I'd have a bit of a play with it, and then I dug out the Hasegawa one, 48 scale kit, and I hadn't really taken a good look at it for a long time. And that is still a really, really nice kit. That 48th kit really is impressive.
Yeah.
For something that was released like a billion years ago, it's brilliant.
85, 86, I think that was originally.
Interesting story while we're on the subject of Hasegawa F-15s. I built a Hasegawa 48 scale F-15 a long time ago. Probably around about the time it was first released. And I had one sprayed. I was building it for the national championships actually, and I had it sprayed in my bedroom when I was living at my mum's. And I got back after work on this particular day, going to work on it. It had vanished. The whole thing disappeared. Box was still there, instructions were still there, bits were still there, model disappeared. I have to this day no idea where that model went. And nobody else who lived in the house at the time was prepared or has been prepared to let me know where that model went. Still don't know. That was
John, play the Box of Delights music in the background.
Yes, indeed.
I was just going to say, Spencer's going to start getting bits of an F-15 in the post and notes saying, if you want the safe return of this kit, then you got to send us some money at this address.
Very strange. I don't know where the kit went. So whether it got broke and it was just thrown out, whether I have no idea. So I never had another go at it until now, and it's actually the box is behind me, but I was amazed how good that kit was, especially the cockpit and everything, the smaller details. And the later versions had the jet pipes without the turkey feathers on as well. But again, I think I'm going to build an early one from that kit, and an Air National Guard one, the one with the chevron on the tail.
Oh yeah.
Striped, candy stripe rudder. Can't remember which one that is now.
I'm just going to play. I'm just going to play housekeeping with some comments here. We've had, we've got controversy here because Jen Wright says instead of following the crowd and buying very expensive LED lamps, you could just buy a pair of angle poised desk lamps and fit LED daylight bulbs. You have not been charged for this top tip.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
you could.
Absolutely.
You could.
Absolutely.
You could.
No controversy here.
No, and in fact, that's how I illuminated the desks in my shed for 10 years. That's how I did that. So yeah, you can do that. The only thing I found with those, which is slightly different from these ones, is that they tended to be more directed. The light tended to be more directed.
This is very much diffused, even though that is incredibly bright.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at my bench, my whole bench is universally lit. There's no areas of directed.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, you can see that is how it's lit.
Yeah. And I sort of found that, but
absolutely kind of consistently lit, which is why I like it rather than any sort of direction.
Yeah.
I will say, having used various lighting implements down the years, including fluorescent lamps. I have tried Jen's method of angle poised lamps with LED daylight bulbs, you name it. As soon as I got this Craft Lights, what model is it? 501 LED. As soon as I put it in here in the workshop and turned it, when I turned it on, I thought, goodness me, that's bright. Then I realized there were 3 extra settings, which was brighter still, Heart of the Sun. So
I would say the other thing with this is because it's so lightweight, I've got 2 cameras set up here on their own sort of, one of them's on an angle poise sort of setup and one of them's on a stand and all that. There's space considerations. So a small strip light like that lights very universally across my bench is really good, because it's also not taking up space when I'm trying to squeeze 2 4K cameras and all the rest of the gubbins to do this.
That's exactly the same issue that I've got, Drew, because you've all seen photographs of the way my desk is. My desk is in the corner of the room, and next to it is a sort of tool chest. I show you. So you've got this kind of thing here. That's where my desk is. You can see how it sort of works and how it works on that side as well. Now, the only place that I can fit brackets for lamps is on that edge that's got any kind of sort of connection to the desk. So that means that the only way that it can come is over that point. Now, these big lamps allow it to flow right across the desk, and I only need one of them. Whereas if I had this sort of angle poise with the sort of those kind of IKEA lamps, you know, the grey ones, that kind of thing, I wouldn't have anywhere to put it on the other side of my desk. It wouldn't kind of fit. So it sort of allows that. But I think it's maybe worth pointing out as well that if that's what is in your budget to use those kind of lamps, they're perfectly suited to kind of what we need as well. You know, it's not like we're suggesting that everybody that should go out and spend hundreds.
There's always options for these sorts of things.
Absolutely,
and we decided
cutters, you know.
Well, I was just about to say the same thing. You know, there's some normal clippers. Do they work? Yeah, they do work. Do they work better? Yeah, they do work better. But that doesn't mean that if that's what your budget is, you're not going to get perfectly fine results from them.
Well, these are the ones that I've been using for years, and also I've got my Zuron ones somewhere here, but I can't think where they are. These were given to me. These are electronics ones, and these were given to me by one of my Belgian friends. He'd got a whole sort of bunch of boxes of them that were they were being chucked out, and I've used these, and they're really kind of cool. And I still use these. I don't use those exclusively. I've got these ones, which I think are, I don't know if these are Revell ones or something. I had sets with ones from Tamiya and that kind of thing. It's sort of horses for courses, really. It's what it's what you're used to. But there are certain tools that I think are kind of useful. But I mean, my scalpels that I use, that scalpel there is out of a dissecting kit that I had when I was at grammar school in 1983, and I still got it and I still use it. You know, so I suppose once you've got these kind of things. Anyway,
things like those knife blades, they're a one-off purchase, aren't they? It's like I use, you know, they sit by me whenever I'm on. I've got 3 different blades in 3 different handles, and I still use that one quite often.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was just going to reach into my box of delights here. It's in here somewhere. I'm not going to root around, but yeah, I use one of those as well.
The longer you're in this hobby, the more you accumulate things.
Yes. And actually, the more that you accumulate, the less that you use, because you're
what happens is you accumulate things, but you still end up going back to your, you know, a core set of tools that you use. And very, very occasionally, like with the disc pie cutters, something will come along that finds its way permanently into your toolkit. But amongst that, there will be any number of things that get used for a week or two, and then
I will say, in my defense of buying expensive things, is that in the 3 years that I've had this lamp in the workshop and the desk pie cutters, which are they're still going good, both of these things have been in constant use every time I sit down in the workshop and I get on with something. And that to me is worth far more than any kit that I could buy.
It's almost muscle memory now. You come in, sit down. I come in, sit down at the bench, turn the light on.
Yeah, it's just the improvement it's made, and the fact that even 3 years on, when I come in here and I switch this light on, and I just think, that's awesome. And then if I'm chopping bits off of sprues with these, I still have that thing of kind of like, look at this. It just like bone through butter, whatever that line was.
Me, I'd rather snip it off with a pair of scissors from the kitchen.
Well, the funny thing is,
use a pen knife that I was given as a kid from a cracker at Christmas.
Martin Kovac was getting pulled up on his night shift channel by people for the fact that he's cutting bits off the sprue with a pair of scissors. And he said something about, yes, I'm aware that perhaps I should be using a pair of fancy cutters or whatever, but yeah, he just used a pair of household nail scissors.
You should be using what works for you.
Exactly.
Are you suggesting that we shouldn't twist the parts off or remove the pips with your teeth like we did when we were kids?
Spence, you know that you still twist the parts off occasionally, because I know I do. You still sit there occasionally and go, and it comes off, and then you might pick up your disc by cutters or whatever and trim the little bit off. But
top tip, people, don't tear the parts off the screws.
Along similar lines, when it comes to big parts on models, fuselage halves, wing halves, all of those kind of things, I use this.
Yeah,
this is my tool of choice for those kind of things. Yeah, there you go, tool of choice, because it means that I can saw right against the edge of the part, and I use this for 80% of all big parts that come off a.
I use it all the time. It's like last week when I said that I'd broken my last pair of disc by cutters cutting the Tamiya Tomcat canopy from the sprue, and immediately got bombarded by people. So you shouldn't use them. They say you shouldn't use them doing that. They say, I know, but they were in my hand when I picked up the sprue, and I went, yes. What could go wrong?
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Okay. You know, the fact that I broke those disc by cutters cutting that canopy off the sprue last week or the week before last was 110% my fault.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't the cutter's fault.
No.
It was my fault.
In fact, when it comes to glazing, this is the only thing I use.
But I had it in my hand. It's just one of those things where you go,
why shouldn't I be using my disc by cutters for cutting clear parts off the sprues?
Because they say they're brittle and that when it suddenly clips and you can break them, and that's what happened with those. That's what happened with those.
Okay. You know, we got a question here from Jim Aldegott, who says, pardon me, I tuned in late. Why is Spencer the name Dave? Go on, tell him, Dave.
Because my first name is actually David, not Spencer. It's a historical family thing that I got called Spencer, and it kind of stuck. And now I'm far too old to change. But officially, and this is like an in-joke for tonight, officially, my first name is David. So for anything like doctor's appointments or anything like that, or COVID tests, any of those kind of things, my first name is actually David. So
my name's not Dave.
Dave.
And do you experience problems getting the pod bay doors opened?
Yes, I do indeed.
I watched that. You know what?
I see. I was under the impression that we were going to go by these names tonight, but apparently not. So
I can change the names here. I can do that.
Well, no, nobody actually adequately explained to me why I was Mo.
No, I don't know why you're Mo.
It's like Jonathan there accuses other people of being impenetrable and vague, and decided to rename us all and gave us absolutely no kind of context for it. And it's like,
why does he call you Mo?
Because it's short for Maurice.
Oh,
right.
My middle name.
Still,
yeah. That's what I mean. But it still pretty impenetrable, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's still pretty.
Drew Morris.
I mean, I know that my middle name is Morris. I've known it all of my life, and yet I still didn't. I still went. No. I was thinking of the bloody barman from.
I got so confused. I thought, are we suddenly turning into a police tribute band or something?
Or indeed the three Stooges.
The Three Stooges.
We probably are.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. Curly, Mo, Dave,
Larry, Curly, Mo.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I
look,
need to bring this back onto track because my good.
Yeah, I say we're an hour into this
problem.
nonsense, and we haven't even got to the thing we're supposed to be doing tonight, which is
the thing we came online specifically to talk about. We haven't even got there.
So we've got 8 minutes to do this now. No,
Yeah.
Sorry,
no, we'll overshoot.
No, it's showing 46 minutes, so we've got 14 minutes.
40. Okay, so what has happened today is that MiniArt have released their 2022 catalogue. And as anybody that follows this channel for any length of time, in fact, anybody that follows this channel for 3 minutes will understand that MiniArt are very well liked by us. Now, most of the stuff that's in the MiniArt catalogue this year is pretty familiar. To anybody that's sort of followed us, 35th scale armor, accessory sets, buildings, figures, all of those kind of things. However, there are a number of things in this that have come as a bit of a surprise, including 2 P47 Thunderbolts, one of which is touted as being a basic kit, and one of which is touted as being an advanced kit. What seems to be the case with these 2 models is one is a curbside model, the basic kit. One is a kit that includes what look like full engine bay detail, cockpit detail, and also gun bay detail as well, which is extraordinary. Now, there haven't been a lot of 48 scale Thunderbolts over the years, and there haven't been any new 48 scale Thunderbolts for quite some time. Certainly not P47Ds.
20 years by my reckoning.
Yes.
20.
Tamiya, the last one, I think. How long ago was that? 20 years?
I'm going to say 1998, 1999.
There you go.
Prior to that, 1996, you had the Academy kits came out. You had the Hasegawa kits came out because Academy did the P47N, then they did the P47D. Hasegawa did the P47D round about 1995, 1996.
Pro Modeler did the N.
Revelogram did their kind of tooling of their one with engraved details that and then that was it, and then obviously the Tamiya one.
Pro Modeler also did a new tool N as well, so Revell Monogram did a new tool N.
Yeah, they did. So I'm just checking Tamiya P47. I think that is probably about,
I think 98.
I think 2000. Let's have a look. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. And the winner is, ladies and gentlemen, oh no, here we go. It was, right, okay. The first one was the Razorback. That was 2002.
Oh, was that? Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, according to, I'm on ScaleMates here at the moment. According to them, it was 2002 when it was a new tool that came out, and it was the Razorback. Okay. And then the Bubble Top followed in 2003.
And then they released a later bit. They did an N, didn't they?
An M.
An M. Yeah,
an M. Yes.
Okay. So
they did an M.
20 years away from P47s being done. Now, apart from anything else, it's quite a departure from MiniArt.
It's their first scale. It's their first venture into aeroplanes that aren't what ifs, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yes,
yeah,
I think it is. Yeah. So I think this
will be auto gyros.
Yeah, I think this will be a really interesting release from them, and it'd be fascinating to see how they approach this. Now, MiniArt's standard kits, their interior kits, for want of a much better description, the tank kits are highly detailed, both inside and out. So it'll be really interesting to see how complex this P47 is. If it follows suit and follows the way that the armor kits have been approached, I think you're going to be looking at quite an in-depth project, even in 40.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see how they approach the main airframe bits.
Yeah,
are they going to do, essentially 2 completely separate airframe toolings? One with all the removed panels and one without, because that would, if they're doing a basic kit as a curbside model, it makes sense to me that should be inherently simple.
Yeah,
which means you shouldn't have to my mind, the modeler shouldn't be gluing panels in place and stuff like that to make, it should be as simple as that suggests. And then the advanced kit will be more or less the diametric opposite of that, where all the panels are going to be separate.
And also, it's sort of, I guess it begs the question as to whether the two kits will be different in price as well. And I'm assuming that they will be. The simpler kit will be the cheaper option for people who don't want all of the whipples and bells.
They do that anyway, don't they? With the
I think so. Yeah. So that's kind of fascinating, and it's an interesting kind of an intriguing possibility on that kit. But I think certainly from their point of view, it opens up some other possibilities, and it'd be interesting to see how they develop that range. I can't imagine that MiniArt, when they've created something like that, are only going to stick with one subject.
It would be very unlikely. I'm very interested. Well, if you look at that, the advanced kit is 48001, the basic kit is 48009. So,
yes. So there's quite a cluster in the middle of that they haven't yet announced. And MiniArt are not shy in releasing kits throughout the year. So
no, and quite a clip as well, isn't it? It's quite,
I'm also going to say that clearly MiniArt are now showing a move into 48 scale, because they have also announced a whole range of accessories which look to be mirroring what they've already done in 130.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my suggestions, was the fact that if they're moving into 48 scale, that also means for their accessories set, they're going to, it just opens the way up for them, doesn't it? In the way that ICM have done this year with 48 scale accessory stuff.
Yeah,
they're going to pick up that. They can run with that, can't they?
Yeah. All I can say is, what everything you see here, I want next.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, certainly looking at this was perhaps the most surprising part for me, because they've sort of really gone kind of balls out on this, haven't they? There's a lot of kits, a lot of accessories.
They're not messing about
in that range. They're not mucking about. It's not like they've suddenly thought we'll just do a couple. No, this is an entirely new range within a range, which is great.
And that, whereas I've always really liked the accessory sets they do in 35th. It's not really my bag.
Yeah.
This, I'm with John. I want all of them.
Yeah, it's great. Moving away from 48 scale, they've also announced a brand new range of 24th scale tractors, which mirror the 35th scale tractors. Now, I don't really need to ask John what he thinks of this particular collection, because I'm imagining that he's already writing his checks out to.
Well, do you know what? My first thought was that, unfortunately, the one person who I know would have loved to have seen these, which would have been my friend Hector Hamer, who's sadly no longer with us. He would have loved this. To have seen larger scale tractors, and it's interesting because we've got Hella have been, if you'll pardon the pun, they have been ploughing a furrow with a range of 24 scale tractors, and it seems that that's kind of might have taken off a bit as a range now. So MiniArt appear to be wanting to have a slice of that cake. What can I say? These are fabulous subjects that just lend themselves to that scale.
That 8532 really appeals to me.
And also it does
the 8532.
Yes,
that really appeals to me.
That's
rakish, isn't it?
It makes me wonder as well whether they'll upscale some of the trailers to go with these as well. I think that's something that I'm assuming that will be the case. So certainly MiniArt have I guess announced some really interesting stuff with those kind of three ranges. They'd already got a lot of things in the pipeline, hadn't they, for this year that haven't yet been announced. We have the three-wheeler, the ambulance there that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Different trailers. I like the trailers. I think they're really cool.
It's notable how they're expanding their range by taking kits and combining them to make one release, or then splitting them up to make separate releases. So this trailer we'll probably come across it in a minute in the catalogue. It was, I think, initially announced as something to go along with one of the tractors. Now it's actually going out as a as a separate kit. So
yeah,
we'll just flick through the catalog here, because there's unfortunately we will come back on things that we have been talking about. Yes, look at that, lovely, a Stug with an interior. I love Stugs. I haven't built one, which is rather surprising. I've just always loved them as a tank, or rather a self-propelled gun. Interior kits. I like building curbside models, but every now and then I do like to build one with an interior, just to go down that rabbit hole of madness.
Yes,
So, yeah, we'll just quickly scroll through. There's just some more of their range. Obviously, they've got a big thing of Panzer IVs and Lee Grants and T-34s, but we will, and more Stugs, obviously, more lovely Stug 3s. And then they've also got their range of GMC trucks. But as you said, we'll scroll on. They're also doing a new range of figures, which we've got a German repair crew, which looks awesome. I love that set there of German soldiers carrying ammo boxes. Just fabulous figures that lend themselves to any number of kind of situations. But the ones that have really caught the eye, if we flick on a bit more and a bit more, are these.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's a great collection of figures. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's just
fascinating.
We talk about innovation. That is innovative.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is it opens up possibilities for not only wartime scenes, but pre-war scenes as well, using a lot of their accessory sets and their buildings, where you want something that's a little bit quieter and a little bit more sort of
intimate,
I guess relaxed.
Yeah,
they are really brilliant. And also what I loved about these figures as well is it opens up possibilities for interior scenes rather than just exterior kind of patio areas. The inside of cafes and the possibilities for detail would just be immense if you started looking at, wine bottles and wine racks and tables and pianos and all of that kind of thing. You could spend an awful lot of time doing quite a small scene based around one of these figure sets and an interior with just MiniArt accessories. I think they're absolutely fabulous. I think they seem to have captured the imagination with these sets of figures, and that's great. And also, for, anybody that sort of watched LOLO in years gone by, there's the chances of creating sort of an LOLO scene, or even Inglorious, if you've ever watched that film as well. The basement scene would be something that you could recreate as well in miniature using the German soldiers, maybe sitting around the table or whatever. That would be quite an interesting thing. Resistance. The possibilities are literally endless with these figures. They're amazing.
My eye immediately is drawn to the first set on that page, which is the pair of British soldiers. But yet again, if I walked into one of our favorite retailers and they had every single one of these on the shelf, my debit card would be red hot.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, they're great.
It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And yes, we were gonna talk about these. They've kind of bumped these into the middle of the catalogue here. This was one of the kits that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Again, I cannot wait for this to appear at one of our local retailers, because I will be throwing money at them.
What a great piece of box art that is as well.
All of that
the artwork is just,
isn't it?
It's just there's something that really, really works about that.
Yeah,
it just comes together so beautifully, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Their box art often is a fantastic reference point for actually weathering these vehicles. I said this about the Lands Bulldog tractor, is that there were, whoever the box artist was, and they do name them, is they've got an eye for detail. And
I mean, certainly, if there is better box art anywhere in the world than what's on MiniArt boxes at the moment, I would be amazed. They are really superb.
I think for me, in a lot of cases, like with that little three-wheel at the top there, it's the everydayness of it.
Yeah, it's just so mundane, isn't it?
It's just there's something in the mundanity of it that really, really makes it work. As if that's clearly a wartime scene, but there's nothing connecting it to the war going on.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
so
it's just utterly fabulous, that. And here we got some more of their civilian range. Again, it's that thing of they take a military vehicle and they'll just do a little bit of rebadging, and it suddenly becomes a civilian vehicle. I know Mike Greaves sent us a message that he bought rather one of these trucks, one of the delivery trucks, delivery vans rather, which looked I'm envious because it looked brilliant. But they I think the thing you can say about MiniArt is they are incredibly imaginative.
Yeah.
And see there we've got we've got more variations of the tractor there with a wooden cart. We've got another iteration of the 3-wheeler, more delivery vehicles. I mean, it's, what can you say? Then we have these figures, and again, utterly brilliant.
Yeah.
I'll take one of each, please.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly. I mean, the idea of a pre-war 1920s, 1930s kind of market scene that's not military in nature, very ornate building around it. I just love the idea of that. That's something I think I'm definitely going to have a crack at, because they're just brilliant. They really are brilliant. Yeah. So
it's got to be said though. I'm just looking at. I'm trying to see if I can zoom in on one of them. The guy on the right-hand page who's kind of walking towards you with a hand cart does appear to be Sid James.
Yes, indeed. Right, fellas, I'm going to have to shoot and scoot, I'm afraid, because I've just been bought some food. So, do we have any other
you've
business?
been bought some food.
I have.
We, on the other hand, have been sat here working our derrieres off, showing the good people at home the goodies in the MiniArt, and you've got food being delivered. Unbelievable.
I've got COVID.
Oh Christ! Here we go.
Here we go.
Shouldn't joke about it really, but and also if it's making you feel any better, I am feeling very warm at the moment. So, yes. So I'm really hoping that it's something that isn't COVID related and it's just warm in here. So anyway, before I sign off, we just thought you'd like to see the MiniArt stuff, because
the MiniArt stuff, and listen to us ramble for an hour.
And yes, we did ramble a lot,
glorious,
didn't we? And I will mention to Elizabeth that it is Poggleswood and not Pogleswood.
No, don't get me in trouble.
I'll say Drew says that you've been pronouncing it wrong all of these years, and
no, please don't.
It's the first thing I'm going to do. Sorry, mate. I'm just going to go out and say Drew says. I argued on your behalf, but he wouldn't have it.
That's just something else to apologise for, I suppose.
You'll have to, yes, card and 19 crimes. Red wine is a particular favourite way of getting out of trouble these days.
What can I say? Sorry, Liz. God.
Indeed. I do like getting you into trouble.
You're so good at it. That's the thing.
Great pleasures. So yes. So, are you going to press the bell?
No, we're gonna beat you, and Drew and I will carry on for about another 5-10 minutes, and that's all right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, unless Drew's got an appointment with somebody.
No, not specifically. No,
that's fine. No. Yeah, right.
Oh, thank you.
In that case, Dave.
Dave, everybody, thanks very much. Have a nice evening, and John, Drew, Andrew, Stewart, and Mo. Thanks very much.
See you later.
Chinwag, and I will see you soon. Cheers.
See you later, Dave. Glad he's gone.
We can talk about it now.
Shall we finish off the MiniArt catalogue? Because it just the rest of it is just it's just literally is a box of delights. This so look at that one, gardening tools. Goodness me,
a bit of garden, presumably a bit of garden fence as well.
A bit of garden fence. That's again. I'd throw my debit card at that. That's just
it does make you want to break out the phone, doesn't it, and start building stuff to start putting stuff on.
See again. It's honestly you could spend a year doing nothing but building dioramas or building models just using MiniArt accessories. It's I mean, honestly, folks, they're not paying us to say this. This is just a genuine admiration for how, how imaginative they are, and I think we sometimes see people who seem bereft of inspiration and complaining about model companies. Oh God, not another Spitfire. Well, probably people are looking at the MiniArt range at the moment and thinking, oh, not another P47, but another P47 pays for them to do the oddball stuff, like those little three-wheelers, like, as we've got here, French concrete road signs, 1930s to the 40s.
Yeah, it's just words kind of fail a little bit. It's just they are so imaginative in what they're doing, and they appear to have largely cornered this niche.
Yep. They have a business model that works for them,
and it's clearly working for them.
Yep.
I'd forgotten about the auto gyro kit, actually.
Yeah, the auto gyro. Yeah, I'd love to build one of them at some stage, on top of the 100 million other things I'd like to build. And
even historical figures.
Yeah, largely historical. They do buildings in 72nd scale, blah blah, and then we get to the end, and it's all just the catalogue-y things. Oops, daisy, and they've won lots of gongs. I think actually we should award them something so that we can get our logo in their catalogue next year.
Yeah. We'll make an award up specifically for them.
The winner of the bit like ITV have the annual Ant and Dec Award, and the winners of the annual Ant and Dec Award are Ant and Dec. So we'll do the annual MiniArt Award, which is awarded to MiniArt.
Yeah, it's awarded to MiniArt in perpetuity once a year.
In perpetuity, formerly the Michael Barrymore Award. Well, no, that became the Ant and Dec Award. It's just like tedium. Anyway,
that joke took a dive.
Sorry?
Oh, that joke took a dive.
Yes. Anyway, yes, there we go. So fantastic stuff from MiniArt. Big fans. And my poor old debit card's going to be worn out by the end of the year at this rate.
Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot more stuff being announced day by day. It's that week or two of the year where everybody's announcing new things.
Yes,
and you know, I know Great Wall Hobby have announced MiG-29s in 72nd scale. They're due anytime, or they're due in 2022. So we've got MiG-23s from ICM, MiG-29s from Great Wall Hobby, and ICM and Special Hobby have announced Kawanishi Ki-21 Sally twin engine bombers in 48th and 72nd scale. It's just like,
see, what? I literally I've kind of like I downloaded the MiniArt catalog today in prep for tonight's show, and then suddenly 100,000 other new kits have been announced in the meantime.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were very, very skeptical of ICM doing a 35th scale CH-54 Sky Crane. Well, now it's in the catalogue, folks, with box art. So,
and they've just released their Gotha powered glider, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah. The 242. That's out. So
yeah, they are they are making the pace at the moment.
Yeah.
These companies are setting the pace completely. Yeah. So what a year it's going to be again.
Well, this is it. Again, we come back to that thing that you kind of like these kit announcements get made, and there's always somebody for whom something isn't the right scale, or it's not the right subject, or it's the wrong era, or it's just everything is wrong. I was going to say it's a Rex Harrison attitude, because I was reading today about the actor Rex Harrison, and apparently just how utterly horrible he was in any social situation, and especially in restaurants, that he'd be brought food and there was always something wrong with the food that was brought to him. And I just, you do get these people who, we're going to get all these new kits announced, and it's still not going to be good enough. No. I can't think at the moment of a market that is so buoyant with so much variety and so much quality that if you're not finding something out there to suit your tastes, what exactly are you looking for?
I was looking at, and one of the first things, I mean, all right, he's a friend of mine, but a friend of mine pointed out that on the Thunderbolt kit, the renders as released, the magnetos are wrong for the engine in that particular aircraft, which is all right. It's an accurate observation. Fair enough. It's a -21 set of magnetos, or it should be on a -59. Blah blah blah. But when we've reached the stage in modelling that the most visible thing people have got to complain about is the magnetos on the engine inside the cowling, you need to stop and think about the times we're living in.
Yeah, and we don't know whether or not they actually provide alternate magnetos, for all we know.
Well, we don't. No, we don't, and that's why which is why I made that picture up with all the red lines over it and the turpits in the image, because it's just cry havoc and let slip the dogs of red lines, as people start picking it to pieces. And none of these are ever egregious. Is my
unless what's happened there? Has somebody dropped the bomb on Yeovil? Not that anybody would notice.
Says a man from Portishead.
Hey, London by the sea, if you don't mind.
Yes. Anyway.
All right, I got a treat for you. You ready? I got a treat for you. Here we go. Here we go.
Right. No, I'm muting it.
Yeah, but you can still see the imagery. Anyway, enough of that before we suddenly get hit for a copyright notice. But genuinely,
that's horrific. Thank you.
Genuinely, quite. That was 1984. That's genuinely quite disturbing for a kids' TV program.
It's very freaky.
Very freaky. Very Camembert Electrique, as you say.
Yeah, exactly. So,
which I still haven't listened to, and probably never will.
Well, then you don't know what you're missing.
I've heard bits of it, and I still can't. No, there's just something inherently off about that album. Anybody not know what we're talking about? It's a British. Is it a French-British band, or were they British?
Yeah, French-British band. Go on.
French-British 1960s progressive art psychedelic rock band called Gong, and they released an album called Camembert Electrique, which was bought for me when I was a teenager, and I listened to it. And honestly, it so freaked me out. I wanted to bury the record in the garden and, never find it again. It just something inherent. And I like odd music. I was listening to Supper's Ready by Genesis and thinking this is the best thing ever. And that is an inherently odd record song on a really odd album. But Camembert Electrique, no.
Whereas it's on my playlist now. So
no, I just can't do it. Sorry. And it's the box art. Sorry, box art. The sleeve art with all those illustrations and things on it. It's no. Wrong.
Wrongity wrong. No, it's fine.
Wrong.
Yes, Jim. We know. I don't know what it is. We'll have to look into it a bit deeper.
We'll look into that. Tristan Gerard says 2022 probably will be the year of releasing very long awaited kits. Pilot Replica brings out their Saab 105 SK60 kits, which were announced since 2013. And here we go. Comment of the night here. Are you ready?
Yeah, peaked at the Cardiacs.
Yeah. Adam Griffin says weird music peaked at the Cardiacs. Do you know what? We're all big fans of the Cardiacs here. That's all I can say.
The thing is, I see Christian there saying the Decal in 30 seconds was announced and also will come out next year. Will it though? That's the thing. The Inetra MI17, which once you get past a certain point with kits that have been announced years ago, any new announcement is met with equal sort of will it? That Thunderbolt from MiniArt is going to turn up.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just up in the air. This could happen. It might not.
To be honest with you, that I think the thing about the Daco Fuga Magister is, that's pretty much a one-to-one operation with Danny, so that's understandable.
Yeah.
That this is, it's perhaps not quite meeting its deadlines at the moment. But I'm trying to think what other stuff was in the pipeline that never. Paul's face can't remember. But yeah, I think for the mainstream companies, they.
Well, don't forget the AMK F14 Tomcat. The F14D was the start of a complete range of them. What have we seen so far?
One
that and nothing
yeah.
else.
Yeah,
that took 4 years to turn up, and then that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So we've seen nothing since. So there are manufacturers who have established themselves as ones who follow through on their announcements, and ones that, for whatever reason, be it the size of the company or whatever, tend to be much more, well, maybe not. And Special Hobby fall into that quite a lot of the time. They've got a lot of stuff they've announced in the past. All right, they were gazumped with the Mosquito, and now that's back on the cards again, because they've gone, well, we'll do it anyway. But yeah, there are lots of Special Hobby announcements. So the Whirlwind took forever, didn't it? Took forever. So their Mirage 3/5 in 72nd. That's still, is it going to happen? Is it not? Who knows? Who knows? We've seen renders and CAD drawings and all sorts of that, but that doesn't mean any metal's been cut. So who knows?
Yeah, so I'm just playing catch up on the thing here. We seem to have kickstarted a massive discussion about problems.
One of the first ones I remember really was in 1984. Airfix announced a Chinook.
They announced a Chinook and an Agile combat aircraft.
Yeah.
And a Nautilus submarine from Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. They also, in 1987, at Telford at Stoney that year, they announced they were doing a 72nd scale T-45 Goshawk.
Yes.
Never happened. Did I tell you why that never happened?
Because they realised they couldn't just add some bits into the kit and go with it.
It literally was a case of lift up windscreen, fit new aircraft. Yeah, that didn't happen. And they also were at one stage going to do this is under Humbrol, so this is going back 2003, 2004. They were going to do a modification of the Hurricane in 24 scale to do a Hurricane 2C. It never happened. So there we go.
But certainly, yeah. I mean, the Chinook is the first one I remember being like in the catalogue.
Yeah,
like it was in that year's catalogue.
Yep, and it was in the next year's catalogue as well.
And it never happened.
Never happened.
So yeah, there's a long history of this happening in the in the model world. But it seems that it's probably pro rata. It's probably no more common now than it ever has been. It's just that now there's so much more being released and so many more companies on the scene that it's almost inevitably going to happen and be noticed more often.
Yeah, and as you say, you always know that with MiniArt and with ICM and also with Zvezda, they announce something, it's coming.
Yeah.
You ain't going to escape it. It's a coming.
It will be here in due course.
It's going to get you.
Stuff will be. I mean, in fairness, these days with Airfix, there's been an awful lot of delays in the last couple of years for various reasons, but the Tempest is still coming.
The Tempest is out.
Don't think it is just yet. It's still announced as coming.
It was on the Hannants. Let me just have a quick look.
Well, let's put it this way: if it is out, it's only just.
Anyway, let's just have a quick look.
I haven't seen a single thing of it anywhere online.
Let me just go Hannants. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look. I'm sure it was out. I'm sure it was on the Hannants.
No, coming early 2022 now.
Okay.
So, but the point is that is still coming.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's coming. Yeah, you're not going to avoid that one. Trust me. What else? So I was just having a quick look at the Hannets website.
Oh, yeah, they've got the Decal. Not yet.
No, they've got the ICM Gotha 242 is in stock, which looks nice. Again, in any other year, that would be the kind of kit release where I go, oh,
that's a showstopper.
That's a highlight, isn't it?
Another kit.
It's exactly. This is that is a very good way of articulating this. Is that we are in such a rich stream of new releases that things that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, certainly 30, 40 years ago would have been mind blown. Just another kit.
Yeah, in fact, some of it just gets lost.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna that's hour and a half. Goodness me, what can I say? An hour and a half for something that we weren't going to do anyway. Most of it was taken up with non-modeling related stuff as usual, but that's our shtick. So I'm just Dale has just messaged to say not yet in terms of the Tempest. So I don't know where I saw the Tempest somewhere. It might have been an advert for it, but what do I know? I've eaten more in the last 3 days than I have in the last 3 months. So my entire equilibrium is probably completely out of kilter. I'm suffering from the corn hallucinations. I think it's probably the best way of putting it.
Yes.
I have not eaten so many roast potatoes in ages. It's going to be a lot of walking in the new year, I can tell you that.
But, yes. So that's it then.
Yeah, that's it. That's finished. Should we talk about something else? Anything else? Did we talk? We did talk the other week, but we will talk about it again just before we go. We did talk about the VMS varnish coats, and being late to the party, I got round to using mine a couple of weeks ago. And just to echo your observations and what other people have said, is that certainly when you pour it into the airbrush cup, your first instinct is this is too thick. This is going to go horribly wrong. It needs thinning. And then when you start spraying it and it's going down, but you're thinking to yourself, shouldn't it be kind of settling a bit? And it does, but it kind of like you think that's too heavy. No. You just trust in the product, walk away, come back. And as I said the other week, that because I used it on the my little IBG cruiser tank here, and the thing about it is that the satin finish isn't so much to do with the surface reflectivity. It's to actually do with the actual just the surface feel. And the moment I started putting washes on that surface, it's not shiny. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's not semi-gloss. But the moment I started putting washes on it, it all pulled in around the detail. It didn't spread out. And it was just like, I honestly, I am a complete convert now. And I will be putting in repeat orders for this probably every other couple of months. Because it's I work on the same principle as I do with Mr. Color Thinners, is one that I'm using, one that's the spare, and one that's the backup.
Yeah. And I've switched to rapid thinner for just about everything now as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still using the Tamiya thinners, but that's because I got a ton of it here. But
I've still got some of it. I've still got. I still use it for some stuff, but the majority of my spraying for stuff like the Tomcat that I've been doing in the last week or so, everything's been done with rapid thinner, including the gloss including the gloss coat that I applied today. Even that was done with the rapid thinner. There we go. Anything to add? No.
Any other business? No, I do that bit. I do. You're stealing my thunder here. Unbelievable.
Well, it's not really your thunder, is it? It's been going for 18 months, so the thunder is over.
No, I'm sure if I go to my Amazon search, Amazon purchase history, that bell is probably less than a year old. So accuracy and everything. Your orders bell, which is what I'm thinking at the moment. Actually, I ordered that bell on search orders. Here we go. Bell. What did you do on Monday night? I don't know. I watched that confusing bloke from Dudley going on about his. I ordered it on the 5th of October, 2020. So that's 14 months, not 18 months, 14 months. Accuracy in everything.
You are being pedantic tonight, aren't you?
Pedantic tonight. As I said, it's all that corn I've eaten. I've not eaten that much corn in my life. And the Linda McCartney sausages. I'm just absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think
I'm actually more tea in a sandwich.
I was going to say, actually, serious face. Given that, given Spence, testing at the moment with possibly with COVID and not knowing how he's managed to pick it up, it does vindicate my decision that we'll do Christmas get-togethers another Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not leaving the house for the next week. I'm leaving the house to go shopping, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just another written off Christmas in terms of that. I was going up country for New Year. I'm not doing that now. That's not happening. So
no. But hey ho, what we'll probably do is we'll probably pop back and annoy these good people out here in a couple of days or so, because I think we'll do a model off.
Yeah, I'm here, so I'm back.
Yeah. So. I've got this Bushmaster that I need to. It's ready for paint now. It's been ready for paint for the last week, quite frankly, with you. But that's ready for paint now, and I can get on with some other bits and pieces.
Yeah, I think it's just to see how far we've. Let's have a look. See how far we've got with this.
Very nice.
Which is rapidly getting to the stage where the decals will start going on now. So.
Yeah, it came out. Third or fourth one?
That's my third. So
are you enjoying it as much as you did the previous two occasions?
It's just the most ridiculously perfect experience. There's just absolutely nothing about it that is even slightly negative, is there? It's just words kind of fail you for a kit like this. It's just I don't see how the Phantom could be any better. People are saying it is, but I don't see how it could be.
We haven't built one yet, so
yeah. So hopefully in the next week or so we'll get that
get that finished, and then you can start building your icebreaker.
Yes. So
looking forward to that.
Few weeks. Hey,
that's all right. I've got some stuff here that's not my usual modelling diet. I've got that.
No, I'm looking forward to the icebreaker. It's just I need to, as ever with a Tamiya Tomcat, it takes on a life of its own, and you end up putting more time into it than you expected. But it's all.
Before I go, I will thank John Walker, who every year John always sends me some wonderful goodies from Scotland. One year it was an entire box of Tunnock's tea cakes, which I think you scoffed a pile of them while you were here. And I think, what was it last year? He sent me, can't remember what it was last year, but it was delicious. Anyway, this year he sent me some lovely biscuits. The biscuits came in a lovely presentation pack, and each of the biscuits was mounted on a large stick like this. You see. So this box, this polystyrene, was actually in like a plastic case. So what I have done is I've removed the biscuits and put them in the little plastic case. But what it has left me with
is a bunch of stuff to put bits on.
It's a paint stand with some paint stands. Actually, look, little pointy bits on the end. I actually think John did that deliberately.
He knew what was going to happen.
Modeler thinking that. But yes, John, if you're watching, thank you as always, thank you very much for your kind Christmas gift that you send every year. It is greatly appreciated. Same to Steve Johnson in America, who sent me a box of lovely goodies, including a NASA baseball cap and loads of sweets, which I haven't even haven't even had a look at yet in terms of not in terms of actually eating them, because you know, what can I say? Moderation in everything. But thank you, Steve. And so yes, there we go. We'll do a model off in a couple of days' time, and then we'll
until later in the week.
Until later in the week. So until then, everybody, thank you for tuning in to tonight's unscheduled nonsense. As always, we are very grateful for your company and for your comments. We will be back. In the meantime, as always,
take care.
Stay safe.
And, see you later.
Stay out of trouble, and a happy New Year to you all.